Hey, it's Monday, y'all. It's Monday. Monday, January the 22nd in the year of our Lord 2024. What a blessing it is to be in the land of the living in our right mind with a reasonable portion of health and strength, as we say. I'm grateful, but I'm determined that I'm going to speak life, health, and strength to myself. Welcome to Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. It's just one more opportunity for us to gather, grow together, glow together, ground together, and go together. That's been our theme for the last couple of weeks, and we're going to continue on because we've only had the opportunity to focus on grounded for greater. Then we did growing in grace, and we still have um, two more to go. But on fourth Mondays, I am instituting this opportunity because we had such an amazing time talking about relationships in the middle of marriage and menopause and midlife. Woo! All of the above. So if you're just signing on, if you are watching the replay, welcome to Mondays in the Meditation Room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings, where you will find all things enlightenment and empowerment for Black women in midlife and beyond who are just ready to redefine, reimagine, and rediscover the joy of being you in midlife and beyond. Before I bring the hubby up, let me just remind you, I asked you to share and save on your calendar September 20th to 21st because it is time, y'all. It's time for us to gather again for the Serenity Experience for Women in Midlife, September 20th through the 21st. Within a couple of weeks or so, you'll have information out so that you can go to the website and definitely register and go ahead and pay your deposit to claim your seat, because this is usually an intimate group and we want to really make it transformational and a sacred moment. That doesn't mean at some point we might just fling open the doors and grow beyond what we could even imagine. But one of the ways we get to be in the space that we're in at the Pearl Modern Spa and Boutique in Columbia, Maryland. It allows us to have a group where we can really interact and engage and encourage and empower one another. So go ahead, September 20th and 21st of this year, 2024, put it on your calendar. Go ahead and start putting your investment aside so that you can invest in yourself. Welcome. It is a brand new day. So hey y'all, glad to have you with us on tonight. And make sure you just put it on your calendar. Just go ahead and put Mondays at 7 o'clock on your calendar on your phone with an alarm and notification that says it's time to get our laptop, our iPad, our phone out and spend some time in the room as we talk about all things midlife. And as a part of midlife, all the transitions and changes that come along with that, to include perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and andropause, right? There is a male version. And we are determined at Enlightened Woman to make sure we strengthen our midlife inner life that helps us to manage all of those changes that are going along and happening in our lives. So I want us to spend most of our time tonight really having a good conversation. So tonight, as you saw, if you watched the graphics going by, that we are instituting fourth Mondays in the meditation room with the Hazes. Yay. Love is a midlife marriage conversation. How many of you believe we need to have the conversation? Yeah. Put it in the chat. make some comments, yeah, we need to have this conversation. And so I'm excited to welcome the hubby back up and back in the room. And I'm laughing so hard at his name today. He put Dr. K's husband. That is funny. Me. Welcome, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And
Hey,
I'm so excited. Isn't this awesome? I love it that
hey,
this
yeah,
is the a new something new. And I mean, you would be my guest every now and then, like near Valentine's Day, or just if I just felt like hearing from you and felt that we needed to hear from you. But now we're going to do it on a regular basis, and I'm excited about that.
I had to, y'all.
Did
I
he
had
say?
no, I had no options. Husbands, you know what I mean. I had no options, so I just said, "Absolutely, baby, I'm right here for you."
You know,
Y'all? What else am I going to really say? Right? That's my girl. That's my
thank you.
boo. That's
I,
my boo.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna put it again because I love it and I'm so proud of myself because I created it myself. Don't you love
Oh,
that?
look at
Just
that. I love that.
fourth Mondays in the meditation room with the Hazes. Love is a midlife marriage conversation. And tonight's topic is marriage at the crossroads, midlife and the pause mayhem nobody told us about. If we took a poll, and I am going to take a poll on our Facebook and Instagram. I was working. I was going to try to surprise you because I was working on doing Instagram live, but
Uh-huh.
it was I had followed all the steps. I was ready to hit go live, but it was
Uh-huh.
one step that I had not yet mastered, and I didn't want to spend all my time trying to go back and forth and fix it and try to work it out. So I think I'm gonna practice first and get it down,
I
and
love
then
it.
we'll be able to increase our audience by going live on Instagram as well. So
Awesome.
welcome, y'all. Welcome. So my husband, as he says, Dr. K's husband, that is funny to me. We are college sweethearts. We met at Hampton Institute at the time. It is now Hampton University.
University.
Yep, we dated starting officially in the spring of 1982. Um, we dated for a little while and then we got engaged and then um, we got jobs and moved to the DMV area and started working and having children. The Lord blessed us with children. Um,
We got
went
married, y'all.
Oh yeah, did I skip that part? We got
Yeah.
married July 28th, 2024. It'll be 40 years. We're in a major milestone year.
Yes, we are. I love
And
it.
2024, we will be 62.
Yep.
I had to think about it.
Yeah. Think about that, right?
We're on the other end of the midlife continuum. The changes go from anywhere from 40 to 60 to 45 to 65, and so we're somewhere on the latter end of that continuum. But we have found that it is absolutely imperative to curate, cultivate intentionally your marriage, especially during this season. And so I'm gonna read what I wrote on the social media post um, as it relates to what we're doing on tonight, right? So let me find it. All right. So, one thing I've learned is that longevity doesn't necessarily translate into healthy.
Not at all.
Right? You have to put the work in on yourself and as a collective. Your marriage is only as joyful, healed, and free as the two individuals are. So y'all know this is engagement. So at any point you have a comment, question, some wisdom to share, please do so. Then add to the mix the midlife and the pause transitions. Then I put Jesus be a bail bondsman, because if you're not careful, one of y'all gonna catch a case. Woo! Trying to be married and pause, andropause, and perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. That is.
Mama.
And love is ... what you make it, with the help of the one who created it. Not what you saw, not what you read, not what you watched on TV or what
you
somebody
make it.
told you, right? But it is really what you make it.
Right.
Because it's the craziest, most divine thing ever.
Ever.
Ever. And then what, I gotta pull this one up, because I was like, the Holy Spirit is really flowing in this season and era for tonight. So when I was writing the description for StreamYard, scheduling the broadcast for tonight, is this one. We are doing something new. Welcome to fourth Monday in the meditation room with the Hazes for Love is a Midlife Marriage Conversation. So excited to have the hubby back in the room. Marriage is a divine enterprise, but that doesn't make it easy. Sometimes it can make it harder, because it requires us to rise above our past pain, presumptions, ego, and projections. Then add midlife and pause transitions, and that's a recipe for mayhem.
Yeah.
But there's hope. That's what I want to say. There is hope. So I didn't do this ahead of time. I'm going to do it right now, because I know what I think about. I think about those Allstate. I don't know, is it Allstate commercials, when that guy is always
his name is Mayhem.
His name is Mayhem, and he's always showing up, creating havoc and wreaking havoc on people at their houses or in their cars, and just causing all kind of stuff. And it is, the definition is even scarier, because it says a needless or willful damage or violence. Mayhem, needless. Now that's the thing that got me. In other words, that means that's something is going on that could be prevented.
Right.
But it said needless or willful. That means you are purposely creating it. Willful damage or violence. So that's what I think about. I think of a whirlwind, cyclone, all of the above when I think about marriage, and then add to marriage midlife and or the pause, because they're not mutually exclusive per se, but it's you have midlife, and then you also in midlife are dealing with the symptoms and repercussions of your body doing what is naturally supposed to do, that's called perimenopause, menopause, or postmenopause, or andropause. And that adds to midlife, because I think midlife itself has its own things, and then mixed in with that. Right. So my question to get us started tonight for you is, why do you think it's imperative, or if you think it's imperative, why do you think it's imperative, if you do, to pay special attention to your marriage during midlife and or the pauses?
Yeah, that's the highest. During these times is the highest rate of divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important, because so that was a crazy definition you read.
Mm-hmm.
I read the definitions, so I'm not going to read the definition because you already read it, but I read the synonyms for mayhem.
Okay.
Chaos, disorder, confusion, havoc, bedlam, pandemonium, tumult, uproar, turmoil, madness, madhouse, hullabaloo. that one, that's funny, hullabaloo. And then this one, all hell breaking loose. Wild disarray, disorganization, trouble, disturbance, commotion, riot, anarchy, destruction, violence. It sounds like midlife and marriage.
Oh my God, that is so good.
Yeah, it sounds like. I mean, you have outside storms and you have inner storms, all perfectly going on all at the same time. And the biggest storm of them all is ignorance.
Ooh, that's so good.
We are absolutely ignorant of what's happening with us. And so, real talk, I didn't really start noticing my symptoms until I hit 60. It wasn't until I hit 60 where I started noticing, so when we look at andropause, because my wife does an outstanding job. First of all, sweetheart, thank you for having me on. I just love it when you invite me. I feel loved by you, appreciated by you. And this is just so meaningful to the masses. But basically, when you think about, and I'm talking to my brothers right now, all the husbands in the house, make some noise. Come on. Andropause is a collection of symptoms, including fatigue and a decrease in libido experienced by some middle-aged or older men, attributed to a gradual decline in testosterone levels. All right. Okay, y'all got that. And it basically is the three symptoms of andropause is a general lack of enthusiasm or energy, difficulty sleeping, insomnia, or increased tiredness, poor concentration, and short-term memory. And then it says, what age do men go through andropause? It says andropause, most men who experience age-related testosterone health problems will see male menopause symptoms and signs during their late 40s to early 50s, but they can start any time from the age of 30 onwards. I personally did not begin to really start saying, wait a minute, something's going on until after I hit 60. So, and I'm not saying I wasn't, but I did not notice those symptoms that I just read until after 60, and I'm going on 62. So I'm freaking out, y'all. I'm like, what in the world? And
no, go ahead.
And so it's amazing that you asked that it is absolutely imperative, in my opinion, because I am most likely, not her, but Dr. K's husband is most likely to say, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. Because I don't even understand what's going on with myself. And where there was increase, there is now decrease. And that freaks me out. That scares me. And so I need to do something. I need to go out and do something to make sure I'm still the man that the legend in my mind that I once was. And so that can be very reckless. That can be a reckless decision-making time to try to make sure of something that you can no longer make sure of anymore. And that is when a man's testosterone level begins to decrease over a period of time due to age, but due to the wisdom of Mother Nature and God. As we get older, we don't need to maintain the responsibility to procreate and make sure there's babies. That's for the younger generation now. And so things that I totally identify with that made me a man aren't the only things that makes me a man. But physically speaking, that's all I've ever known. And that's all we ever talked about. That's all we ever bragged about. Right. And so when that happens, when andropause begins to the symptoms begin to really say hello and good morning and good night. And when they walk with you throughout the day, you have to find a whole new identity.
Woo, that's so good. Yes. Yes. That
Yeah.
just put a pin in that right there, because that's true. So we are really starting to have the full conversation about menopause in women. Because when I first started this conversation back in 2019 or so, then the book came out like in 2020, every room I was in or created, when I asked, did anybody talk to you about menopause? And it was crickets, or it was like, no, absolutely not.
Right.
And for women, it was even more of, you'll see in a lot of my material and content, I say, we're on a mission to normalize the conversation, destigmatize our reproductive health, and to decolonize our well-being. Because the reason why, partly the reason, I think, because we weren't having conversations, or it was a stigma, it created embarrassment, all of the above, is because it deals with the woman's reproductive health. And many of us, I won't make a general statement, but many of us were taught to not really talk about the onset of menses, and then when it happened, it was seen as negative, and the conversation around it was negative. It wasn't celebrated, and then we weren't really taught holistically how to manage it. Because you think a period, the first thing you think is, oh Lord, she can get pregnant. Right. And so then that's whole a shame kind of stuff. And if you're in
Right.
church, that creates a whole nother level of shame and
Right.
dysfunction. Right. And so anything that had to do with your reproductive health was not talked about. It was, shunned and quiet. And you had to learn by osmosis, or learn by hard knocks, or, just bad experiences. And so if you're not talking about it, then it's a string of connections. So by the time you are in your 30s and 40s, and you may start having issues, especially for Black women, with fibroids and endometriosis, or you're ready to have children. We're really not told what to be doing with our body that whole time. And then, when we hit 35, or if you have to have surgery or some other medical thing, and menopause happens medically, nobody is talking to you about why am I angry all the time? Why, not just those days during our period, but you're thrown into a season where it's consistent and constant, when you're dealing with brain fog and weight gain and moodiness and um, your skin changes, your hair may start thinning, you may have digestive issues, you may have deal with depression, you may have aches and pains, and that's just a drop in the bucket. But because nobody's talking about it, and only 30%, and it's really less than that, of persons even are trained on it in medical school. When you
Right.
go to doctors with these symptoms and they don't know what it is, and they're not sensitive enough, after a while they just think something's wrong with you in your head, right? You a hypochondriac, what's wrong with you? And then that adds to the stigma of it, when there's nobody who is medically licensed to do that. Now, thank God, there are a lot more persons, and not a lot more doctors who specialize in it. A lot of people are speaking up about it now. Famous people are talking about it now. And even there's a group who's working on lobbying, going down to Congress and sitting before Congress to say, we need help, because some women deal with it very mildly, And then some women deal with it to the point that it affects their well-being, their ability to go to work, and having all of those symptoms while you're at work can be challenging. And so they are instituting policy for workplaces for women that are menopausal, and insurance companies to cover certain things that are happening. And so, and then for us as Black women, the challenge is we enter into it younger than most other women, and then we deal with it longer than most women. And they trying to figure out why. But now some Black physicians, are saying that they think part of that is racial weathering, that our bodies and our immune systems are already compromised from consistent onslaught of racism. And so
Mm,
that
that's,
means that even with menopause, we're dealing with it worse than most other people as well. So those symptoms of perimenopause, which naturally the onset of that can start anywhere from 45, but sometimes it's even a little younger. And then you start feeling that you start dealing with, fertility concerns and issues. And if you haven't had a baby, and if your doctor says you're starting perimenopause, that's a whole nother, mindset. And so you're talking about dealing with all that plus being married.
yeah. I've summed up andropause for men in these three. They're not three words, they're three phrases: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. No, I'm telling you, I think I might market this. I just might market it every fourth Monday. I'm gonna use this as a platform to market sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's my new word for andropause, because sex become the major issue for us.
Mm-hmm. And right, I didn't even list that, the whole um
Yeah.
um lowering of your libido,
Oh
or
yeah.
some it's the opposite. And sometimes the issue is because the man is going the other one way and the wife is going this way,
Yeah,
or and
I'm
so the
telling you.
lowering of the libido, the whole vaginal dryness, and the pain of all of that is happening. So go ahead again, sex, drug, and rock and roll.
Sex, drug, and rock and roll. Let me just break it on down. We are always preoccupied with sex as men, and that's not a bad thing. It can be misused and abused and misunderstood and misdirected, and not and we can be very irresponsible. But it's a gift from God. Sex is a gift from God. It's what makes the world not just go around. It's what has populated the world. I just looked it up. We're like 9 billion strong on the planet now. That's from sex.
Yep.
That's from having sex. And so it's a big thing. It's a real big thing on a regular basis with men, whether they're having it or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal. And then the drug part comes in, is that when your testosterone level is going down, the drug use, legal drug use, Cialis, Cialis, the blue pill, and
Yeah, what is that?
all these other off the market,
Viagra.
Viagra, all these other stores and online who provide, something to make sure you have a strong erection. We are preoccupied with a strong, rock hard erection. And when we are not having it, it is a major issue. Hello, where's the mic? Anybody there? It's a major issue. And then the rock and roll part comes, is not the music rock and roll. Your marriage becomes rocky. Come on, y'all. You start having a belly roll. I mean, it is. I'm telling you, andropause for men is sex, drugs, rock and roll.
That is so good. You do need to patent that.
So it is a major piece, and who do you talk to? Who do you run to? And what I want to say is, sweetheart, congratulations to you for being certified. You're not just a willy-nilly, peddler on this subject matter. You put the time and the hours in, and I want to say to the positive that you're going to 10x this message, and you're going to learn how to do that Instagram, whatever that is. And once you learn it, you're going to teach me, right? And we're going to get this word out on a regular basis. If you're here with us live, great. If you're catching this on a replay, that's even greater. But this message has to get out. One, the message is nothing's wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
Two, with conversation and action, we can navigate this season in our lives together. And we have to redefine. We have to redefine in midlife. This midlife marriage conversation should include us talking about how to redefine our marriage in the midst of sex, drugs, rock and roll, lack of sex, increase of drugs, and dealing with weight gain, dealing with all kind of things in our physical bodies that once was firm and now is soft, once was north is now is south. I mean, that's and so we have to redefine what our marriage is. It can't be based on anymore the things that we based it on. For us who are of the faith, many of us got married just to have legal sex. And we never saw the day when the libido would change.
Yeah.
We never saw the day when the libidos would not be compatible.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm saying some good stuff, y'all. Y'all got to read between lines. When the libidos are no longer compatible, they're the husband and wives libidos are no longer harmonious.
Going in different directions.
And we must have the hard conversation that it does not have to be a deal breaker.
Right. Absolutely. So that's why. So like you mentioned earlier when I said, when I asked that question, why do we think it's important to pay special attention to our marriage during midlife and the pause? And one of the things you were saying that the fear of losing virality and significance or importance may make a person reach for something to relive those days.
Right.
And it may not always be a good decision that causes that. And sometimes it's happening on the subconscious, and then they're acted out without really knowing why they're doing that.
Yeah.
Or going deeper to deal with the importance of who they are. And and you said it, that is the season when the divorce rate goes up.
Yeah. We are literally trying to rediscover who we are, because the truth of the matter is something is dying. But wherever there is death, there spring is. Whenever there's winter, spring is coming. Spring is the very next season. So menopause and andropause is a winter season. But it's not the end. It's not it's not the final season. It's just the winter season.
That is so good.
Of our physical life as it was.
But we have not been, it's a transition, and I even like to call it a rite of passage.
Yes, it is.
We have not been taught to pay attention and celebrate and prepare for rites of passages in our lives and transitions. We fight against them because we're not educated. Like you say, ignorance is also horrible.
That's the biggest storm.
That's that ignorance of what our bodies are going through, what these different seasons mean, and learning to embrace them, because God apparently has equipped our bodies to do what they're supposed to do for different seasons in our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah. 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 We are absolutely required
mhm.
to understand the seasons of our lives.
All right.
And I'm not going to be naive and say, because I'm not there yet. I'm not going to be naive and say, and we ought to celebrate every season. I'm not celebrating this season.
Mhm.
And I'm okay with not celebrating this season, but I'm not okay with not knowing about this season.
Right. And see, and that's such a good thing to say, but because I've been in it for a long time, I'm not necessarily pushing back on not celebrating it. Um, I am saying we have to um, learn to process, because we feel like it's so, there is loss. There's
Yeah,
loss,
yeah, big
there's
loss.
grief. So you have to
You
manage
got to go through that
that.
grieving process,
You have
that
to manage
bereavement process.
the grief. Um, but what we're also saying is there is an element of celebration as you come through it and get to the other side, because
Yeah,
this is absolutely it can be your wisest season, your more confident season, your season with the greatest opportunity and movement of your life. Is the season that you come into uh, your own, for lack of better terms, where
absolutely.
you become to accept yourself for who you are. You get more comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that part because um, as I am grieving, because I'm honest, I ain't gonna play no games with nobody who's watching this. I am grieving. I am in bereavement at the
Yeah,
same time. Somebody shout at the same time. At the
at the same
same
time.
time, I recognize I am more confident.
Mhm.
I'm more at peace with who I am.
Grounded.
There's no, I don't have to try to prove anything to anybody. I'm not trying to be a part of anybody's camp no more and anybody's clique no more. I'm fine with who I have as already my friends and who I already have as my families. And I am more focused on purpose.
Yes, that's it too. That's
Yeah.
it. Thank you
And
for
so
bringing that up.
yeah,
Mhm.
so that's a great thing. But I will not play games. This is because remember, I'm saying to y'all, I didn't recognize clearly my symptoms didn't really kick in to let me know, oh my God, yeah, until after 60.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, y'all, you gotta allow yourself to experience the loss of who you thought you were
Mhm.
physically and begin to understand the season that you're going through, the season that you've been through, this new season, and what this new season will bring
Mhm.
as a result, not just physically but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as well. And so there's a scripture that says, "When I'm weak,
Mhm.
that's when I am strong. God's strength is made perfect in my weakness." And so there is a fortifying for me that as because your body, everything about your body as a man that you knew of is changing.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're talking about decreasing testosterone. Do you understand what testosterone does?
Mhm.
Testosterone is the thing that made your voice change.
Mhm.
It's the thing that causes you to have muscle mass. It's the thing, all that what we relate to being a man is related to the hormone testosterone. And then when that begins to start decreasing, they say starting at 30, when that
Mhm.
starts to decrease, um, and then all of a sudden at 60, you're like, whoa, 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 what's going on? What's going on? Hey, wake up, wake up. so,
Right.
so,
The challenge for married people when those seasons happen is that sometimes you're in those seasons, and because there has not been a reality check and talk about those seasons and symptoms, when it starts happening, the spouse may not understand, they may not know, they may not be aware, they may take it personally, they
Yeah.
may not believe what it is you're saying is going on with you, because they don't have a concept of it in their mind. So that can create and wreak havoc. I know I started having my symptoms much sooner than you started
Yeah.
acknowledging or realizing your symptoms as andropause.
Yeah.
And for me, with the hot flashes and then getting cold and getting hot and just the fatigue and the brain fog and just the everything that was happening for me, it started earlier. And you would be looking at me like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. I mean, it was really mayhem, and I don't even want to act like it was like we handled it very well. We didn't.
Mm-mm.
No, we
No,
it
it
was
was
mayhem.
mayhem.
It was. That's why I'm like, wow, that's a great word that you use. It was mayhem, and and it is amazing. What is amazing to me, sweetheart, is that we're still together and we're going on 40 years.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know what was going on at first.
Mm.
I didn't know what was going on. At least you started to get enlightened. But it was a minute before I began to get enlightened with concerning me, and it wasn't until I started recognizing, hey, something's changing in me, that I began to have more compassion for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, what's going on? I was like, she don't love me no more. She don't like me no more. She won't hug me no more. She won't kiss me no more. She won't look my way no more. And I was like, what's going on? And now I have a greater level of sensitivity for sisters because of you, and because I have been somewhat enlightened about menopause. But now, because I'm now smack dab in the middle of symptomatic andropause, I'm like, OM to the G. Yeah. God bless you, baby. Good night.
And it's true, because if you're not careful, you can circle your wagons around yourself and find that you're going into different directions mentally and emotionally and physically, because you are struggling and wrestling with yourself, and then you're struggling and trying to wrestle with your spouse, and you don't have enough energy. So sometimes people just give up.
Yeah.
It's not that anything is necessarily wrong with the two of them. Sometimes they just give up. And
Whoa.
and yeah, and so I want to read this. So I've been reading, I finished it today, the book called The Big Leap, Conquer Your Hidden Fear and Take Life to the Next Level. And one of the chapters is about relationships, because the main focus about the book is that you literally can have abundance, creativity, and relationships all in the area of your life that are vibrant and thriving and healthy. You don't have to have just one or the other, but that you have to rethink how you think about your life, and that it's possible to literally welcome abundance, success, and creativity, meaning getting into your, what he calls the genius zone, is possible in every area of your life. When he starts talking about relationships, he says that he worked on, it's by a guy named Guy Hendricks. I have to look it up just to make sure I'm giving you the right author. But he was studying another studying research that talked about, it says that the authors of the book that he was studying found that 80% of 437 successful people that they studied had unsatisfying marriages and long-term relationships.
Yeah.
80%. out of 437 marriages and long-term relationships were unhappy.
That's
80%.
eight.
You know
That's
what
eight. That's eight out of 10.
80%.
Wow.
Only 20% of the couples had relationships that the authors called vital. And so he was saying that those 80% marriages had three main styles of unsatisfying relationships. One is a devitalized relationship. Devitalized relationship.
I ain't never heard that before.
The partners remain together in
Yep.
spite of having fallen out of love with each other years ago, that they have been going through the motions sometimes for decades. And
Yep.
relationships looked okay from the outside, but there was little or no passion between the individuals. Then he said there's passive congenial relationships where they've always been more like friends instead of in a passionate relationship. And their expectations are low of each other and they're seldom disappointed. So they just live together in a whole hum harmony. I was like,
Right.
Lord have mercy. And then the third one was conflict habituated relationships. And now you know what those are, that they created a lifestyle based around constant conflict. They're either engaged in low level bickering or heated conflict, that they remained in long term combat, interrupted by periods of truce.
That actually, I concur. That was good research,
Mm,
and to be able to articulate it and put it in those categories is genius. Because I remember growing up with my friends, and some of my friends' parents had separate rooms.
mm-hmm.
Some of them didn't even stay in the same room, and and I didn't. I was like, well, that's strange. My mother and father still in the same room, but
Mm-hmm.
I remember that that there are my mother and father had a couple friends that were a couple, and they literally lived in two different sections of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and they remained until one of them died,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one's still in that same house.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, that it was so eye-opening. Um, and I was like, this is what we want to talk about to bring to couples' attention so that we can shift these statistics.
Yeah,
I
and
believe is possible.
yeah, and you're doing that by all you can do is what you're doing. You're making us aware.
Mm,
And once you do that, your job
mm,
is done, and you got to move on to the next audience and group to raise the level of awareness.
mhm,
This is not you can't come here and get a quick fix and get all your questions answered,
mm,
but you can become aware.
mm.
And what they say, knowing is half the battle.
Knowing is half the battle. And
Yeah.
for those of you who are, watching live, we have some couples on watching live. We really would love to. I don't want to put anybody on blast or anything like that, but just enter into the comments any thoughts or reactions to some of the um, information that we've been sharing our own lives and experience, and what, even if it's basically like, this is my first time hearing this, or I've heard this before, or this
Uh-huh.
resonates with us, or this impacts us, or this is good. So this helps us to know how to shape what we bring, shape the conversations we have, shape the information given as we move forward. So if you're listening and you're willing to share, just give us some feedback as we move forward. Because for us, and especially as African American couples, um, not being ashamed or reticent to focus on that, because our situation in this world, and in particular in America, is unique. First of all, from our history of being here, if you are a child of if you are a descendant of persons who were brought here and are your ancestors dealt with slavery and all the things that came after that, even up until this point, you are experiencing life in a certain way, and your bodies are experiencing life in a certain way. Because remember, when even when we had COVID, how many African Americans were passing from COVID? They already had sicknesses and illnesses that exacerbated COVID, but the history and the research also bears out that a lot of us deal with certain illnesses differently, and we're realizing that it is from epigenetics, it is from racial weathering that I mentioned before, that we don't pay enough attention to how it is affecting our bodies and rewiring ourselves. And that also makes us experience just regular life differently than everybody else. And so, knowing that, like you said, is half the battle, but that is not the end. We get to redefine and define who we want to be and what legacy we want to leave. Woo!
Yeah, that was good. I've made a decision to go through this, to
Mm-hmm.
go all the way through, to fully express how I feel,
Mm-hmm.
to talk about it, with my wife, to talk about it. I have 5 good brother friends.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people. I know hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. I only have 5 good brother friends, and we do not hold back. When we get together, I love it. We don't get together like the women get together all the time. But when we get together, we make up for lost time, and we talk about everything
Mm-hmm.
under the sun. And I mean everything. And so you got to have somebody you can talk with.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have somebody where you are not ashamed. And there is it's a free judgment zone. There's no judgment. And you have to make sure. I love this commercial. I just saw it. Um, um, they were talking about exercising, and the girl said, uh, "Doing something is everything." I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh wow, that's so powerful!" Like, just you got to do something during this season in your life, something
Mm-hmm.
positive, even if it's sitting outside looking at nature, if it's taking a walk, if it's getting into a low impact exercise program. You just, I'm talking to the brothers directly. You got to do something constructive. We know how to do something destructive, but you got to find some constructive activities to help you navigate through this, so that you won't have this finality about yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
that this is a new season. Uh, that you're becoming aware of. It's
Mm-hmm.
unavoidable. We cannot avoid this. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not the devil. It's not demons. It's
Right.
not, you can't rebuke this.
Mm-mm. No spiritual bypass happening here. You
No
can't
spiritual
spiritualize
bypass.
it and
Yeah.
bypass the
Oh, but,
emotional work that has to happen.
but the Holy Spirit will walk with you
Mm-hmm.
through this. And mainly by this platform right here is just becoming aware, more and more aware, and talking absolutely to your doctors. But what I found out about doctors, and I praise God for doctors and medical assistants, nurse practitioners. But every time I go to the doctor, they're always asking me questions. So I need to come more correct. I need to be able to articulate what's going on, because they don't know my body like I know my body.
Right, right,
So,
right.
so I have to, you talking about self-education, I have to make myself aware of andropause like nobody's business. So when I go to my doctor, I say, this is who I am, how old I am. This is what I'm experiencing. And what is the, in your opinion, what's the healthiest treatment for this, or what's the healthiest practice since I can't avoid this through this? And so know yourself.
That's so good. Treatment and practices which we have not been empowered, and we're going to talk about that in future episodes and broadcasts. This was
Sweetheart,
just
I celebrate you, baby. You've been inspired by the Holy Ghost. You are a woman of God with a practical approach to life and living. I love it.
This is just the beginning. So let me put that back up. We paid a lot of money for them pictures, so we got to start using them. And how about we need more now, right? It's right. So fourth Mondays in the meditation room with the Hazes, and we'll see where this goes and what we're going to do with it. But we're going to have to talk some more on marriage at the crossroads, midlife, and the pause, mayhem nobody told us about. And there's so much more. We just wanted to just get the toe wet, dip it in the water and get started. But there's so much support, resources, and help as we travel through this season and come out different. The only thing I would leave for you to do tonight as we close out is just get somewhere with your spouse. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have no expectation, but just look at each other in the eye and say, I see you. I might not understand everything.
I see
I
you.
might not know everything, but I see you.
I see you. Yeah.
See you.
I see you. I see you. See you.
I see. Yep.
I'm Dr. K's husband.
Thank y'all for joining us for he's been in the room a bunch of times, but this is the first time that we are making it a part of Mondays in the meditation room with Dr. K for Midlife Musings. Tell your married friends and the ones that want to be married. It ain't just we learn even before, and as we seek and desiring it, to join us on fourth Mondays. Right here at 7:00, or invite somebody to do the replay. Let them know. Come back to the Facebook page or to the YouTube channel and watch the replay. Maybe you need to watch it again, right? and be full of hope. Be full of hope, because the best really is yet to come for
Yet to
all
come.
of the season.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for joining us on tonight, and we look forward to seeing y'all again back in the room. And sisters, we'll be back on Mondays in the meditation room, the first Monday in I'm sorry, we got one more Monday for this month, and I'm usually kind of off on fifth Monday. Let me double check before we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got a fifth Monday. And so we may do that Monday.
No, I'm taking her out. She's not going to be available. Yeah, I'm taking her out on that Monday.
Okay, so we will not be here for Fifth Monday, but check. We may have a recording, because y'all know as we close out the month, we always like to do some meditation and breath work exercises and reflections for the month. So that may be something I'll record and make available to everybody. But we'll be back in February, the first Monday in February, and we'll continue our series on mastering our midlife inner life. I look forward to seeing y'all then. Have a peaceful evening. Love y'all.